yesterday morning. Watched Thor with my daughter.
Did you like it?
I did like it. I thought it was entertaining, yeah.
You got to watch them all. Hey, I was not a buyer on these at all, John, and I absolutely loved them.
I watched Iron Man, and that hooked me because the music was so awesome. And so my daughter's like, I want to watch it, and for me it was, I wanted to be able to see, them in order.
Yeah, and the payoff will be worth it, trust me. And the music
in order is kind of different.
Just look it up online. There's some good websites that'll tell you.
Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 3 were very good. Iron Man 2 stunk.
Yeah, it was weird. It had, what's his face? Mickey York. And he was kind of just weird.
Mickey Rourke.
Rourke, whatever.
Mickey York from Fox Sports Detroit.
Yeah. But the music only gets better. Guardians of the Galaxy, both those, the music's outstanding. You're going to love it. You will love it.
I had no idea.
I personally, I wasn't a big fan of Captain Marvel, but the music was great because it was the grunge era.
All right, our telephone number is 248-539-9797. Yesterday, Maryland defeated Michigan State 73-55. It puts Michigan State in I think, a winner-go-home game tomorrow against Indiana. Now, you can sit there and say, well, even if they lose, if they beat Michigan once or twice and do well in the Big Ten tournament. I'm not going to say absolute, but I don't know. In watching these two teams, unfortunately, I'll be rooting for the green and white this week, in the two games against Michigan, but I don't think they have a chance. Now, of course, it's a rivalry game, things happen. But Michigan State, they're just not very good. I mean, they won those two games, against Illinois and Ohio State, basically on Aaron Henry's shoulders and blood and guts. And you can't do that every game, and they proved that yesterday. Michigan, on the other hand, God, they are just so freaking good. I mean, look, Indiana's not a great team, but they put on a clinic in the second.
In 3/4 of a mile, turn left onto Middlebuilt Road.
And what we're talking about, Juwan Howard is being talked about, I should say, and rightfully so, as not just the Big Ten coach, the national coach.
Rightfully so.
And to me, it shouldn't even be close. Now, look, Mark Few, Gonzaga, they're undefeated. There's a lot of good stories going around. Alabama's done a good job. Eric Musselman at Arkansas. A lot of folks have done a good job. But what Juwan Howard has done for this team, for what the expectations were of this team, it's not even close. It should almost be unanimous.
Yeah, I mean, and we're only talking about a guy that's been on the job for, 12 months?
Yeah, pretty much.
And so to get his team to where they... Yeah, a little bit. But to get his team to where they are now is... It's amazing. Yeah, I guess it is about 18 months. But it's just amazing that they've been able to do what they've been able to do this year during the pandemic with the layover or the layoff. It's just, we've seen other teams struggle, and it doesn't mean every team has to.
No.
But where he has been able to do such a great job is that there doesn't seem to be a weak spot on the floor. Yes, some guys are better than others, but there's nobody that it seems to be a liability.
What's the best attribute that you think Juwan Howard has? And should he be overwhelmingly the favorite for Coach of the Year? 248-539-9797. And then one other thing I want to get to is there's a word being used to describe Michigan if a certain thing doesn't happen. And we'll get it. It really makes me sick to my stomach. 97.1.
WXYT FM and WXYT HD1 Detroit. A radio.com sports station. Sports headlines all day, every day. From the Sold by Mike Z Sports Desk, this is 97.1. The Ticket.
Pistons falling at home to the Knicks 109-90 last night. 25 points for Julius Randle, sinking Detroit at LCA. The Knicks shoot 50% from downtown. The Pistons just 28% from beyond the arc. As for the Red Wings, they fall 7-2 in Chicago to split the mini-series back-to-back. 5 goals in the final period by the Blackhawks. The Detroit teams may have lost, but a big win for Jim Harbaugh in recruiting. He hooks a 5-star quarterback in Will Johnson from Grosse Pointe South. A verbal commitment yesterday for the Wolverines. Michigan State not able to keep their winning streak going. They go on the road to Maryland and lose 73-55, dragging their conference record to 7-10 with 3 games remaining. versus Michigan. And good to have baseball back as preseason game number 1 went the way of the Tigers, starting it off with a bang.
First pitch driven in the air off the bat of Willie Castro, deep to right center, way back and gone. Wow! Willie Castro just jumped on the first offering from Nova, and he crushed it to the deepest part of right center by the light tower to the right of the 420-foot marker, and the Tigers have tied it at 1.
And Dickerson back on the call right here on 97.1 The Ticket. A 6-run opening inning for the Tigers. They win it 10-2 versus the Phillies. They'll play the Yankees this afternoon at 1 o'clock. For On the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Chris Villar. For more, stay tuned to 97.1 The Ticket and radio.com.
Live from the Jamie Samuelson Studio, Stoney and Jansen on 97.1 The Ticket.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to March. Our telephone number is 248-539-9797. When the college basketball poll comes out today, you would assume Michigan's going to jump up to second, considering Baylor lost to Kansas. I would assume that, but the fact that Kansas is still a good team might stifle that a little bit. But I would assume Michigan will move up to 2. Gonzaga will stay at 1. They are a terrific basketball team. They're fun to watch. They're unselfish, and they have a great coach. And what makes Juwan Howard so good, in my opinion, right now, is the fact that he just seems to have this team, connected. But his greatest attribute, and I don't know what the word is selfless, maybe, because he delegates. Now, last year, people, he's not really coaching. It's, Martelli and Sadi. And there were times a lot last year where you'd see huddles and it would be all of them in there with the team. Now, most of the time, not all the time, there are exceptions. Most of the time when they cut to Michigan's huddle during a timeout, it's Juwan. Juwan's the one drawing up the play. Now, I don't know if he's being told to, whatever, it's irrelevant. He's done a great job, and I think great coaches are great leaders. They don't have to be great X and O guys all the time, but then they have to be able to delegate. And he seems to be selfless enough to delegate.
Well,
That's what I love about him.
It's also knowing that the message has to get across and who is the best to deliver the message. Maybe there's something, they're in a timeout, and it's been something that Juwan has been harping on all week long. The team obviously isn't getting it, so throw in Sadi Washington. Maybe they'll hear his voice and understand it better from him, or Phil Martelli. Maybe they'll understand it from him. I think the one thing that he does the best is each individual has a different way of being coached, of being taught, of receiving information and getting motivated. I think he's done a great job, and you see sometimes he yells at some players, sometimes it's a pat on the butt. I think he handles each individual differently, and he's got a great relationship with all of those players, and he is getting in, and having that relationship, he is getting as much as he possibly can out of every student athlete that he has.
I think he's approached this egoless, as much as a guy like him can be. I mean, I know he has an ego, okay? He's Juwan Howard. He's a legend in mid. Yeah, we all do. But what you said, Stoney, about the staff he assembled, so what? So what if Phil Martelli is making
Exactly.
Who cares? The bottom line's success. I think he stepped in and he kept around people he needed to keep around, brought in an experienced former head coach who had a lot of success at St. Joe's, and learned on the fly. Shouldn't you celebrate that? Because now you're right. He is more involved. It is different.
Yes.
And he absolutely loves his job. I can tell by just the way he acts and stuff. And so all the people with their little cute talking points when he got the job, and some of them I said as well, you're concerned. Is Ward Manuel being a fanboy here? I said that. I was wrong. We're not always right about things when we see how could he do any better than Beeline? You know what he's done? He's incorporated Beeline ball, and now you're slowly getting better and better players.
No doubt.
And it looks very much like the 2013 team, which there is NBA talent on this team.
Yes, there are. Yes, there is. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. Pete in New Baltimore, what's up?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I think we're all just bringing up different words that describe the same thing. And obviously, the same man, but mine's humility. Who would have thought humble and you know, just
At
like
the
you guys
roundabout,
said,
take the
he
second
wants
exit
to
onto
be there.
Middlebelt
He's
Road.
humble. He divides the tasks up. He wants to be there, which can't be overlooked. You know, they mentioned on broadcast yesterday, this guy's an NBA player. You know, he's been in the league. You know, I know guys like that aren't this way, but you know, he doesn't need to be there. He wants to be there.
Right.
In 2 miles, turn
You
left
saw
onto
that from
West
day
13
one, the
Mile
press
Road.
conference. You know, that was not a show. That was not, you know, put on. That was sincere. In other words, I mean, you know.
By the way, Pete, I think I want to object to one thing you said, because everything else you said was correct. Did you infer that the Fab Five were selfish?
I did say maybe the most selfish basketball.
Oh, come on, really?
Yeah.
They passed the ball. They played defense.
No. Not in a basketball sense.
Oh,
It's what
okay.
they did to the program sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
No, amazing. Yeah, they shared the ball amazingly.
Well, that was actually, I think, just one player. For let alone Weber was the only one who really got in trouble for that. The real selfish guys were guys later on, right? Bullock and that crew who got him in trouble.
I just think you're seeing something develop here. Like, and I'd love to get Greg's opinion on this because he always has balanced opinions on things and stuff. But I believe Michigan basketball is becoming an entity before our eyes. Like, I think there's something different going on here than the Beeline thing was always viewed as cute. I think we may be seeing the development of a powerhouse basketball program.
It could be on the early stages. There's no doubt about it because of what you said. He's got great kids, selfless players,
In
and
1 mile, turn
getting
left onto
now
West 13 Mile Road.
top talent. He's getting McDonald's. He's got 3 kids, I think, are in the McDonald's All-American game. Now you wonder, because they had 2 kids. They Josh Christopher, they thought he had to went to Arizona State. He's playing pretty well. There was another kid who's ending up in the G League. I forget his Isaiah Todd, right?
Yes.
You wonder, as good as those guys are, would they have fit in on this team? We don't know the answer to that.
I would just say this, if you had a kid and he was 16, 17 years old, and you turn on Michigan basketball and watch them, don't you want to go play there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want it when you listen to Juwan Howard, when you see how he talks to the kids, when you see how he interacts, and you see how the student athletes play on the court, yeah, you'd want him to go to Michigan.
Our telephone number 248-539-9797. Now, somebody I know said to me yesterday, if they don't get to the finals, it's a failure. I said, excuse me? A failure? Yeah, they're like one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the country. They're, all this kind of stuff. They'll probably, they beat Illinois. They'll probably beat the Spartans twice. They'll be into the, Big Ten tournament like 20-1 or something like that. And, they'll be expected. I expect them to get to the championship game. It'll be a failure if they don't. And it just got me thinking. Even if championship game may be a little stretch for this person. Even Final Four. I mean, we always use this term Final Four and bust. If they don't make the Final Four, it'll be disappointing. If they don't make the Elite Eight, it'll be very disappointing. But to use the term, I just think that maybe I'm old school here or changing my ways because I used to jump on this stuff earlier. We use the word failure way too much when we evaluate stuff. To me, and I know expectations change, if a team that you have no, preconceived notions for, especially in this year with COVID, goes to the NCAA tournament and does not do well, even though they had a great regular season, you're going to see the whole season is a failure. If you're a blue blood program, like if Duke or Michigan State don't make the NCAA tournament, that would be a failure. When Michigan State unfortunately had their, the Middle Tennessee State game, you could sit there and say, God, horrible, disappointing, failure, maybe because of the expectations, but to me, I just don't look at Michigan and say if they don't do well in the tournament that it's a failure. I think that we use the word failure way too liberally in this country.
I think everybody wants to be dramatic about it. And will it be disappointing? Sure.
Yeah.
No more disappointing than it would be for Juwan Howard or every one of those athletes that is a part of this and what they've been able to accomplish. But the one thing that I think sometimes we miss in basketball, or
Michigan was not the best Big Ten team in 1989, but they got hot at the right time.
Exactly.
I think more than anything going into this tournament, that there is a team out there that is an unknown, laying in the weeds that might get hot at the right time. I would be very wary of a drawing in Oklahoma State in a second round game with Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
You know, it's about your draw. The couple teams that are in the middle teams there is West Virginia, Florida State, Houston. Those are the kind of teams that I wouldn't want to see bracketed with them. I'm not concerned about a lot of the top 10 teams, except for really Gonzaga. I think John brought up a great point before the show. Michigan's number 2 now.
Yeah. Like I said, Florida State, I think, is really, really good, although they lost to North Carolina over the weekend.
But they got depth, man.
Yes.
And that's Michigan's thing. People don't talk about a lot. Their depth is ridiculous.
They can go 10 deep, and they can. The thing about depth is sometimes you can get bodies in there,
Stay in the left
and
3
they
lanes.
can take minutes. But when you have the ability of getting a Sean D. Brown off of the bench and get points and production from them, you're getting production from all of these. Austin Davis, when we saw Hunter Dickinson
be tough. Both the Wings and Pistons lose. The Tigers beat the Phillies 10-2. I do want to mention before we get to Heather, I know Gov was probably a fan of this because I know his love for Pat Summerall. Irv Cross passed away yesterday. For those of you who don't know, Irv Cross was probably the first African-American analyst, number one, and number two, part of the NFL Today through, I think they started in like 79 through like 1990 or something, with Brent Musburger, Phyllis George, and Jimmy the Greek. And the NFL Today was a staple back then. It was much better than anything NBC offered at the time with the AFC. And just everybody watched the NFL Today. And Irv Cross, I remember him playing for the Eagles when I was a kid, but he played both ways at Northwestern, and definitely part of a lot of people's childhood if you're, 45 or younger.
Yes.
So R.I.P. Irv Cross. Here's Heather with news.
Go Cats.
All right, if you haven't been to the Detroit Riverwalk, it's probably time that you take a visit, because listen to this. USA Today announced on Friday